Question today from Doug, unknown location, came in through YouTube. I would like to know how to obtain the correct period between inspections. And what Doug is talking about is the time-based inspections that we do that may just be an inspection, a monthly PM, could even be your condition monitoring that you may do monthly. Why do it monthly versus quarterly versus annually? How do you find that perfect time? Actually, this question struck a nerve with me. I'm an engineer, turned operations leader and plant manager, and I have a unique insight with that engineering background. Engineers most often seek perfection and miss out on better today and improving today while they seek perfection. Let me talk about that a little bit more. First, hey folks, my book answers 90% of the questions that are coming into me. I'm happy to respond to your emails and comments in LinkedIn or in YouTube, but I'm telling you, my book, I go through the first half of the book is a step-by-step review of what I would do the first 30 days as a maintenance manager in a plant. So I talk about every single day what I do and why I do it, why it works. Folks, it's available on Amazon, $14.99 as a paper book. And also, hey, for you US people and Canadian people where I can ship it at a low cost, I have 2 free copies for you. If you go to my website, it's in the information below. Go on my website and correspond with me. There's a link to my email there. And just say, hey, I'd like your free book. Tell me your address and I'll send you one. You know, folks, second thing, hey, my YouTube channel, I did reorganize it. I've got 104 videos out there right now. This will be 105. And I created some playlists. So I have a section called Career Advice, a section called Culture Change, Skills, and Mistakes. So kind of put playlists together to help you address the questions you may have instead of sifting through all my videos. The last thing, before we get into the details here, I have 498 active subscribers. You can be number 500. Hey folks, take the time. Just hit that little subscribe button. All it does is align my videos. You don't have to enter any credit card information. There's no, you can unsubscribe, okay? Just hit that subscribe. I'd love to just jump up 20 with this video. This is Joe Kuhn of Lean Driven Reliability, bridging the gap between best practices that you know you should be doing, you know how to do, you just can't figure out how to do it in your culture, your plant. Your culture just eats your plans for lunch. Okay, now back to Doug's question. The best approach, yet it's very, very time consuming, is to conduct an FMEA, failure mode and effective analysis. This is where when you go in, you gain an understanding of how equipment is likely to fail, what's it going to be like to repair it, parts, time, and what impact does it have on the business. That's the best thing to do, is to go in and do that on all your pieces of equipment. The problem is this can take from 1 to 4 weeks per asset, okay? Now the plant I was at, we had 20,000 assets. You're talking about decades and decades worth of work. Now, you need to do this based on criticality. Now that helps. That's a process to go through to determine the top 20% of your assets by severity of a failure and the probability of a failure. There's a process for that. Look that up, criticality analysis. So you do that first. Then if you have 20,000 assets and you're still going after 20% of them, that's still 4,000 assets you got to do that you're going to spend 1 to 4 weeks on. So you need to start that process on your critical assets, especially, look at them and decide what order to go in, but you can't stop there. And unfortunately, a lot of engineers say, this is what we got to do. We got 20 years worth of work. Hey folks, that doesn't cut it, okay? Great place to start, not a place to stop. There's also rules of thumb out there. Do a Google search on pumps, gearboxes, conveyors. There's a place to start. If you have nothing, if you're a brand new plant, you can go out and say, hey, what's the, how often should I be inspecting this? They may say, I'll tell you, they'll probably say 30 days. Sometimes they'll say a week, sometimes a quarter. Most of them will be 30 days, but it depends on your equipment and how you're using the equipment. So you're going to be unique. Unfortunately, you're going to be unique, but that's a place to start. Inspections in history at your plant can be your best guide. Okay, rule of thumb, hey, if you've had 6 inspections of a piece of equipment, you're not doing lubrication or something like that to it, you're just inspecting it. Look at your last six inspections, and if the mechanic or electrician didn't note anything on them, said, hey, it's all perfect, first go to that mechanic, get a group together and say, hey, we're evaluating PMs. I'm proposing we take this from 4 weeks out to 8 weeks. Hey, get that cross-sectional group together, get your process together, your continuous improvement plan, and start, okay? Learn from that history. If you haven't had anything in 6 inspections, good chance you can add 50 to 100% to your time window. But again, you got to understand what the consequences of that are. You can do this for PDM as well. A lot of times people just think about PM inspections, but if PDM, I've had one plant I was at, we've been doing a PDM inspection on an asset for about 5 years monthly. We've never found anything on it. Why not move that to once a quarter, Depends on the impact of that failure, what's our recovery time and what's your cost to put that preventive maintenance in place, condition monitoring in place, sorry. And that leads me to step number 4, or feedback number 4 on how to pick the perfect time. The impact of the inspection, if it has low cost and it doesn't interrupt production, it's insignificant, hey, you may choose to have it high frequency just because it's easy and low cost. It's low cost, low impact on production. So all these things come together, into helping you decide, what's the proper inspection frequency. This answer is complex. I'm sorry I can't just give you an answer and say on a pump it's 30 days. It's how you use it, the impact of it. But what's critical here is to do something. Do something. And this is what's crippling a lot of organizations. You need to have a process supported by a cross-functional group of stakeholders, include the craftspeople in that, maybe a planner, get some historians around, get production involved, and have a process to optimize. Make it better tomorrow than it is today. That culture of continuous small improvement every day wins. It wins instead of seeking perfection. You will make some mistakes. Hey folks, if you're not inclined, if you want to make 0 mistakes, hey, you're in the wrong business. Maintenance is the wrong business for you. You will make mistakes, but I promise you, let's just say my experience, 95% of the time that we made changes, and I made an awful lot of them when it comes to PM and PDM frequency. I would say that number's easily 500 changes that were made. We were easily right on 95, probably closer to 98% of those, and the other ones we learned. Don't be paralyzed by perfect. And that's what struck me about Doug's email. Too many engineers, I've been asked this question too many times. Hey, we're trying to get perfect. We're trying to get perfect. Analyze, 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 analyze. No, hey folks, do something. 2 questions for you. Is your culture one of continuous improvement, accepting some failures, missteps that result in organizational learning and growth? Does that describe your plant? Or is failure not an option at your plant, resulting in glacial progress as engineers strive for 99.99% of the data when 98% is currently available? It's available in just days, and we're waiting years to be perfect because failure is not an option. Engineers hate to be wrong. It's in their DNA. It was in my DNA, and I've had that beat out of me when I went into operations. Learning organizations must have a culture of learning through failure. It's very common. Look at lean organizations. They always learn through failure. You don't want to have failures that result in serious safety and environmental issues, and even big production issues. But most of the time, you're not talking about that. So don't let perfect get in the way of good today. Hey, folks, begin your journey. I know I make this stuff simple. If I can help your organization in any way, let me know. I've done this. Send me an email, send me a comment. I respond to 100% of them. This is Joe out.